Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the SHAIR podcast. And today we have Lori Livacich joining us on the show. And Lori is the founder of the COVID-19 Hero Pins. And what she's doing out there to recognize and acknowledge the people that are on the front line, the people that are working at the grocery stores, at department stores, at Target, the police officers, nurses, where people are actually on the front lines and don't hear enough every day that they too are a hero, that just showing up makes all the difference in the world. So I was honored to have Lori on the show. I know you're going to absolutely love this episode. You're going to love her to death. She's a sweetheart. And again, if you enjoy watching the SHAIR podcast interviews on YouTube, then click on the subscribe button below so that you're alerted each week when a new episode launches. And if you want more information about the SHAIR podcast, make sure to check out the SHAIR podcast website at theshairpodcast.com, where you can get more information about the podcast and learn more about the SHAIR recovery community, the SRC. And if you'd like information about one-on-one coaching with me, go to omarpinto.com. And all of those links are listed in the notes below. So without further ado, let's dive into this week's episode with Lori Livacich. All right, everyone. Welcome back to the SHAIR podcast. I'm your host, Omar Pinto. And today we have my beautiful and amazing friend, Lori Livacich, joining us on the show. Lori is the founder of the Hero Pin. And she's just recently launched this during the coronavirus pandemic and has had incredible success. So I was like, Lori, please come on the show so you can tell all of our listeners about what you've been doing, because you know what we need more than anything else during this epidemic is some hope. So Lori, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Omar. Welcome. Thank you for inviting me and having me on. I'm so excited.
Yeah, right. We're going to have some fun here. We'll have some fun.
I know. Yay.
You're in California, right?
I'm in Los Angeles. Yes.
Okay. How are things going on over there? What's the latest vibe in Cali, where you live?
Well, first off, not to correct you, but you don't say Cali. Second, sorry, couldn't resist. I'm sorry. Sorry. It's pretty stressful. I live downtown, and it's not busy because no one's coming downtown to work.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm seeing here is the homeless population is really exploding down here and moving all over. It's because they don't have anyone down here to support them, like people who might bring them lunch. I was thinking about this, who bring them lunch and food during the day. They're not here. So I'm seeing that people are it's calmed down a lot, like everyone's pretty good with the masks and being aware. There are those people who, I'm going to tell you, just ignore it. And it kind of irritates me. But people are pretty safe. The stores are fine. It's good. It's okay. Because people don't really know, like, it changes a lot, right? That's part of the problem too. One day it's do this, now don't do this. So we're just, most of the people I know are staying inside and, doing the best. Like the pools are closed. So it's things like that. I mean, the pool's open, but there's no furniture. So, like, what's the point? So anyway, but it's fine.
Right. So folks, the Hero Pin. So Lori's idea was to go out and really acknowledge the people that are on the front lines and, putting their lives on the line, so to speak. The people, the grocery store clerks, the gas station attendants, the pharmacists, things of that nature. So, I further along in the interview, we're going to dive deeper into it, but just real quick to start us off, what's it like? Because I've seen some of these videos where you put the pins on people, right? And it looks pretty amazing. Tell our listeners a little bit of what you experienced since you launched this project.
Okay. Well, not what I expected to happen, of course, didn't happen. That's how life is. So I'm going to hold it up. So here's the pin.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's a cute little lapel pin. It's 1 inch round. What's happened? So I just started it with my friend who's a designer. His name is Dan Georgopoulos. And people were talking about honoring, because this was when it first started. So it's just the nurses, the doctors, who are really the ones that were high stressed. But as this thing went on, like the first time I went into the grocery store, I looked at the eyes of some of these people in the grocery store. And it's a single mom. She's got kids. You could just see she's fried, and you could just see it in her eyes. So I thought, Dan and I were talking, and there's pins to thank nurses, pins to thank doctors. I said, let's do a pin to thank everybody. So one pin, and then I said, because I am, my self-imposed title is I'm the goddess of stuff. So I can get stuff. So I do stuff. So I said, I'm just going to make 1,000 pins. Dan designed it. It's really cute. But I said, I'm just going to give them away. And that's all. Then it started to become a thing, where we could buy them. So I said, let's sell them. I reached out to a couple of charities. The one that answered, I said, whoever answers us back first is who we're going to work with. So it was World Central Kitchen, Chef Jose Andres, who's been on the front lines. I mean, he's amazing. In fact, I just got the number today. Since the 8th of July, they've served over 19 million meals.
Oh.
And when I started my Hero Pin, it was 3 million meals. I mean,
wow.
Yeah, insane, right? And he's also helping the restaurants. So if he can't make them all, which they can't, they're buying meals from restaurants to give to people. So
incredible.
It's a total win. So that's where all the proceeds are going. But the greatest thing is, I have to tell you, when you give this pin to someone, and I just say, thank you for being a frontline hero, I've had people start bawling. Like, the lady at Target, she says, oh my gosh, no one said, oh, what? Thank you so much. Or people get like, I'm not a hero. I'm doing my job. I said, yeah, it's your job, but you didn't sign up for this. You're not like, my mom lives in the desert here, which is very hot, in Rancho Mirage. And there's guys out there sanitizing carts at Costco. It's 109 degrees out there. I mean, that's not their job that they signed up for. So I tell you, every time you give a pin, it's the best feeling in the world. And as you know, what is it? It's better to give than receive. This is absolutely the time. And it's just like that little difference you make. In fact, I'm getting excited thinking about it. So I did take my grandson with me, and he had on a Superman cape. So he was running around giving out pins and like to the firemen, to the FedEx guy, of course we had to go to the lady at the ice cream store, of course frontline hero. So it's been awesome. And he's even totally getting this thing about giving, and he understands essential workers, and he's only 5, right? So you just see how this is affecting everybody's life. And this simple little pin, who would have thought? But it's really awesome. So I hope people, if you just get a couple, you have to just share your experience when you give it away. Like, we've got an Instagram and Facebook, because that's the whole thing is honoring the person. Yes, the heroes are awesome and it's great, but it's what happens to you when you honor them. I mean, that's the
magic.
That's the magic. Yeah.
As a matter of fact, hold on one second. I've got the pin you gave me here.
Oh, cool.
So I'm going to put that on while we do this interview.
Oh, good. Yeah, I was going to put one on, but I thought, oh, that's a little bit too pushy.
No way, man. I was just thinking to myself, I'm like,
should I put it on my lapel?
I'm putting on my
I thought the same
my
thing.
Hero Pin, because I do feel, I feel that way. Like, I feel like one of those people that's on the front line, right? Especially with the community that I have, with the SHAIR recovery community, and then coaching. And then, I get calls from some of my clients that are really struggling in this time, right? There's so much fear, so much uncertainty, combined with all the anger and frustration and angst of, just all the multifaceted, dysfunction that's going on around racism. It's just this constant feeling of uncertainty and fear. And they need someone on the front lines, right, that can go, hey, listen, you know what? I am here for you, and I'm listening, and I'm going to hold some space for you. Because really, that's what's important.
Well, they even have someone to call. Think about the people that don't have anyone to call. I mean, that's what's so great. Of course, the mental health world and the doctors and therapists and yoga teachers, everybody. I mean, that's, oh, I can't, there you go. Yay. Awesome. Look at you. You're a hero. Um, yes, yes, you're absolutely a hero. You're my hero. So I'm with you. Um, yeah, it's a great time. It is a tough time, but it's all it's your mindset during these
It
times.
is. It is. And that's exactly, because one of my main questions, and I'm going to ask you this next, right? One of my main questions is, how's your faith? I always ask that question especially when they're spiraling, right? I go, tell me about your faith. Tell me where you're at spiritually, because
I'm in a great place.
Mhm.
I have, since I've been on this journey for quite a long time, I have learned now how to get back to center really fast. So if I go off on a tangent, it's like, my God, no one's going to come in again. Bang. I mean, I just get myself right back, whether it's a couple of deep breaths, whether it's a quick meditation, whatever. Okay, I do my new little chant. I always have it because my whole thing is I have to change my thoughts. If I don't change my thoughts, then I'm totally going down that black hole, spiraling like to where I'm on the street with one shoe, and that's it. I mean, so so I really get myself there. And as long as I change my thoughts, and secondly, be of service. I mean, I hate to you hate to, like, you hear that all the time, not hate, but it really works. That's why these pins, it's not giving them away. I wanted to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. And so, yeah, I have to get out of myself. And so, right, the ego, as Wayne Dyer says, edging God out. I mean, that's the ticket here. That's the thing. As long as and for me, this right now, to have faith when, like, you may not have your I'm going to call your cushion or your little extra thing you always knew you had there to fall back on, and when it's gone, that's when my faith really got tested during this thing. It's like, okay, do or die. I mean, and I did, and it's made my faith is even better than it's ever been, I have to say. These things are really this thing has been really good for me. I hate to say, personally, it's really made me so much stronger, and I mean, I'm a better person because of this.
Yeah, no, there's no question about it. However you want to look at the idea of being of service and being a cliche or whatever the case, however you want to look at it, there's no denying that when you're able to help someone change their emotional state, change their perspective, even just for a moment, there's something that happens to you inside that makes all the difference in the world. So
Yeah.
every time that you're able to do that, right, it fortifies your emotional state, right? It reminds you of why you're doing it, why you're here, why you're on this
Yeah.
planet. So,
Yeah.
Lori, I mean, and I'm looking at you, and you're on fire. You're positive. You've got this beautiful project. Right? You're helping others, and we were talking about the spiritual condition. So, I'd love to know what your morning practice looks like.
Okay. Yeah. It's funny. Again, you should meditate. I went to a TM class, when I was 23 years old or whatever. I mean, that's when I started, and that was 35 years ago. So, and it's like, it's never clicked. And so, but here's the deal. I meditate every day, minimum 10, but 20 minutes. Like that. When people say that's the thing, that's the game changer in your life, that's the game changer. I have to, and I used to go, psh, whatever. No, it is that. And journaling. So what I was doing before was, because when I first got out of college, I was doing public relations. So I was typing I know people may not know what a typewriter is, but on a typewriter. And so I write with a typewriter, but you know what? I stopped doing that and started journaling with a pen to paper. That's the other thing. The typewriter's not the same as the pen to paper. So I've been using a couple of books. I have the book, Unfuck Yourself, Do the Work.
Mm-hmm.
And that do the work, that's the one I pick one and work exercises and things. And so that one's been kind of fun. So I've been working that one. And then I've been doing a recovery book. different, where it's got like, it's like doing an inventory and things like that. So those sorts of exercises all over again, because you can't, I mean, they change all the time. You keep working, right? You're never done. So I do that. I exercise pretty much every day, maybe 5 to 6 times a day. So the good news is, since
Five to
I
six
have a
times
friend
a day.
a week. I'm sorry, week.
Wow. Okay. My listeners are like, I don't know if I'm
No,
buying that.
it's not 6 times a day. Anyway, no, 5 to 6 times a week. And a friend of mine who I used to train with, anyway, now he's coming to my house. So we're working out with another friend, like my daughter's friend. So anyway, the exercise thing too, that's the other key. If you're moving, even if you just walk 20 minutes a day, like basic stuff, because again, it's very easy for me, the depression, if they're not kicking, then I'm again slipping down that dark hole. So the stuff that pretty much all the great teachers
Yes.
teach, they're right. I mean, it works.
I say that too, right? I say, if you take the most successful people in the world, they're all going to tell you that they have a very regimented morning routine. And so, like you, I do a minimum of 20, okay, every morning.
Great.
And I
Maybe
preach
I'll
it.
get there.
Man, I preach it. But I also I put on this, I go to YouTube, and if you type in meditation music,
Oh yeah.
they've got all this ambient kind of, you've got the Native American flutes, right? Yeah, so it's like all mystical, right? You feel like you're on some sort of ayahuasca trip, and then you've got all this, or you've got this other kind of like interesting, like bird sounds or waterfalls or whatever. And I'll set my Insight timer, because they'll have inside timer. You can set it for whatever time you want. A little gong starts. You get this little gong, right?
Yeah, I do that.
And I
with
go,
the group
okay, meditation started. And I get the little ambient music. I let my mind just kind of wander and go where it needs to go. And then it kind of goes and dings. And sometimes I'll just sit there a little bit longer because I'm enjoying it so much. And then every day, okay, I have right next to me is the journal.
Nice car.
Pen to paper, like you say.
That's it. Yeah. That's the other one.
And if I only do those two things, which isn't the only two things I do, but if I only do those two things, my mind just completely gets ready for the day. Mm-hmm. I'm ready for anything that comes my way. Good, bad, frustrating, difficult, it doesn't matter.
Yep, 100%.
And so I can't emphasize more this idea of that meditation and I also pray too. I do it, and it's more like, all right, I'm ready to get my day going. All right, what's the best, most effective way for me to use today? How can I be an instrument, for good? Yes. And so I kind of start with that little bit of an intention, right? And I really want, my higher power to guide me. And I, especially in a time like this, where there's so much uncertainty, you have to ask yourself, how's your spiritual condition? Yeah. Because you have to believe that, number one, we're going to get through this. And number two, each and every one of us is going to learn something different. We're going to have a different experience. It's happening. If you believe that life is happening for you and not to you, then you ask yourself, what is the coronavirus here to teach me?
100%. And I'll tell you the other thing, and I think you may have even done this in your group. It's a 30-day. And this is, let me tell you, I haven't gotten through 30 days on this. Wake up and say thank you to God, and go to bed and say thank you to God for 30 days. I'm telling you, you can't, it sounds, oh, that's not so hard. It's really hard. I mean, I have a note. Because it's making that habit. And when you talk, and you do a lot, I know, with gratitude, and everybody does, but you do a lot with those 30-day things, which are awesome. So I think that's an awesome one to, and I'm still trying to get 30 days all the way together. I haven't done it yet. So I'm working on, that's my big thing. When I get the 30 days, it's gonna be, and then hopefully it's ingrained in my brain to do it forever, twice a day.
super simple. Like I
You
did
think?
this. Yeah, I did this. No, but I did this when I was getting sober.
Oh, okay.
That's what my sponsor said. Okay, every morning you get up and you ask God to help you stay clean one more day, and then every night you thank Him, for getting you through the day. Okay, and but I like this idea of just saying thank you,
Thank
God,
you. That's
right?
it. That's it.
And that's it in the morning and at night. And it's a practice and it's easy, right? We can do a 30-day challenge like that all
It
day long.
is until you have to, you have to do it. And then you go, oh,
Right.
did I say? But no, it is. Once you get in, it's again like anything, right? It's
The
a habit.
habit. It's a habit.
But and it's not that you don't want to be thankful, but you just, again, you get all wrapped up in your stuff and my whatever, and you forget that like your higher power, your whatever, whoever, Buddha, God, whatever you call it. That's the ticket. It's just to say thank you. That you're here. So.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So Lori, let's talk a little bit about what your life was like before you became this person. So battling, that we've all had, not we all, but many of us have had that battle with drugs and alcohol. And, this, SHAIR is all about that. It's all about, being open and vulnerable and sharing about how addiction, played a role in your life, what it cost you. And then ultimately that journey of recovery that brought you to where you're at today. So tell us, what that looked like. What role did alcohol and drugs play in your life? How did it affect you?
Well, interestingly enough, my first drug of choice was sugar.
Mm.
So that's where it all started for me. Sugar was my mommy, my daddy, my soothed me. Sugar, I mean, I was such a sugar junkie. It was ridiculous. Like people, it's so funny when you hear people talk about drugs and alcohol in meetings, like they're sneaking it. I mean, that was me with sugar. I was afraid to take drugs. I never really drank when I was younger. And so like, oh, well, God, there's a bag. I mean, like not just one cookie M&Ms, like the bag of M&Ms, and no one knew you had. And anyway, then when I got a car, forget about it, right? I was like driving to the 7-Eleven. So it started with sugar. And then as I got older and I wasn't a big drinker, but whatever clicked, wherever was that moment when alcohol became the sugar, because it was a double hit, the effects of alcohol.
Well,
And
it's got plenty of sugar in it.
well, a bottle of wine, hello. I mean, so anybody I know who has a sugar thing, wine's their thing. I mean, it's the go-to. And I probably I didn't really start drinking a lot until I was much older. I was very much a social drinker, but I was, still, I was a smoker. I was a compulsive shopper. Any of the process addictions, I love to gamble. Oh my God, I love to, like, I never really went off the deep end with that, but I mean, I could like be at a blackjack table. I could be at a racetrack. I could bet on baseball, football, basketball. So like, it's all there. I can go to Nordstrom's. I can go to Neiman Marcus, whatever. I can hit all the stores. So I've got it all. But then the alcohol just took over. And that was the one. And it was horrible. When my daughter was in high school, so that was in 2000, like 6 to 10. That's probably when it got really bad. I really sadly missed some of her high school stuff because I was, I'd come home and like make it look like anybody and have a cocktail, but it wasn't just one cocktail. And so sadly that was tough. And it was bad. It was really bad. And you want to deny that it's as bad as it is, right? And I wasn't really sneaking or anything because I'm the person in the world. I'm sort of strong and a little intimidating to some people. Nobody tells me, hey, what are you doing? Like, nope. I have that, like, don't fuck with me kind of, that's who I am. I was, not anymore. So people in my life wouldn't say, oh, whoa, Lori, So, they would just bring me booze. So anyway, so my dad died in 2007. that's when I really started spiraling, because he was my, like, if I needed anything, he was the guy. So like that's when I really lost it. So 2009 is when I hit bottom. And I mean, so bad. It was so bad. Like my business partner had been holding all this stuff up for I don't know how long. And she said the most horrible things to me that anyone's ever said to me in my life. I mean, it was, I can like word for word. And because she held on to it for so long, when it came out like Tony Soprano was talking to me. I mean, it was nasty. And she's a little blonde, right? So and I just like, what, oh, what? So anyway, that was 2009. And that's when I went into AA. And so it was awesome. It was
But before we go there, though, if I may be so bold, because I know
yeah.
your story, right? And we, like you said, the sugar was your soothing, your comfort, your everything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so I know your childhood was rough.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So could you kind of give us a peek at what that childhood looked like, and why there was so much angst, and where a lot of that root cause and root trauma issues came from?
Yeah, my let's see. Yeah. So I was raised like I hear many people, I was raised by a narcissistic father and a fearful mother. So my dad was the force of nature. And like my lawyer said to me one time, nobody ever says no to John Livacich. I said, yeah, that's kind of how it is. So it was whatever he said, we did. And he wasn't mean to me. Essentially, he just wasn't really there. My sister had obsessive compulsive disorder, which we know that's what it is today. Then this was probably in the mid 60s. She was so late 60s. They kind of didn't really know what it was. And my dad's way of handling it was, like violent. And my mom was, like in the corner kind of shaking. So my mom was very grateful my dad married her. It was, it's kind of I hate to say it, not typical, but the story of the man, the breadwinner, the narcissist, and the wife who's like, yes, 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 whatever. And so, um, so I had to be the good kid because my sister was the fuck up, and but really, really, now as I look at it, I can't even imagine, being 12 years old and obsessive compulsive disorder and all that shit going on in your head. So I basically was the good kid who just ate a lot of candy, and I just got fat and fatter. And so I was just the fat, happy kid, right? Or not, but I was the, oh, you're so pretty, if only. I never, like, I think what we've talked about, all I ever wanted, and I learned this as an adult, was someone to say, it's okay. We love you. You're not nothing. You're okay as you are, just like this. But no one ever did. So my whole life was, you're not okay. Because if you lose weight, we'll do this. It was all about the weight, the weight, the weight. So the more that happened, the bigger I got. I mean, it was, and no one ever put all that together. And I'm just this little kid who's struggling, trying to, and when I was a kid, people weren't overweight. I mean, I noticed today we have an obesity pandemic.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, that it's perfectly acceptable for someone to go buy clothes that are 6XL, what I mean, but like, and forget about it's not about what you look like. It's your body. It's your organs. It's your blood pressure. It's your heart. It's all that stuff. The diabetes epidemic, all this stuff is because of we're eating to all feel better and, soothe. And so I was like I think there were two overweight kids in my whole life. People weren't fat. So I was ridiculed and made fun of and bullied. And so it was really, really, really hard. So I was always the, happy, chubby girl who was dying inside, basically, and I just wanted to be like everybody else. I just wanted to be pretty. I wanted to be, I just wanted to look like everybody else. I didn't want to look like I did. And it was really, really hard. It was very painful. And that's how I went with people. Anyway, that.
Right. And ultimately, being in that family dynamic, right? It's either eat or be eaten.
Oh,
And no pun intended.
yes.
No
No,
pun
no, no,
intended.
no. You're right. No,
It's
100%.
eat or be eaten. And so you gravitated towards your father's side.
Oh, 100%. I wanted to be a guy. I wanted to be like that. I wanted to be
All
a
right.
tough man. Yeah,
So you went into the man's world.
100%.
Tell us about that.
So my dad was, we were in the produce business, wholesale produce business. He started and then into farming, and it's commodities and it's action. And that's probably where I got all this, the gambling, and
Yep.
it's just fun. And there's like, it changes every minute. And so I really gravitated towards that. Right. It was just, it was excitement. Right. So, at a certain point in my life when I had been got out of college, went to advertising. And again, like no one ever said, do you want to go to college? Let's talk about college. Like, what do you want to do? Like nothing, like nobody was talking, just do this. But I had everything I wanted. 16, got keys to a car, 18, blah, 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 like everything. So I did end up going to work for my dad, which was a blessing and a curse. But the reason it was so awesome is like I was like dropped in the middle of guys. I was one of the only few women selling produce, and it was so awesome. And in hindsight, at that moment, it could have been where it changed my whole life with the confidence and the thing. And like you and I have talked about, I never acknowledged myself for what I did during those times and the success that I had and who I was and what. It's like, oh, you're not good, blah blah blah, and this and that. So yeah, it's just amazing how that one little moment in your life when you're small can change everything. I mean, anyway, so it was great to be in that world. I loved it. I mean, because it was so exciting. And but again, on the inside, I was still that 8-year-old girl in there, dying because I was working out. I was fit. I was, doing all these things. And man,
You'd lost weight, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, totally. I mean, my parents, I went to a fat farm when I was 17 years old. That's what they used to call them. Now, of course, they're spas. But yeah. But
or treatment centers.
Treatment centers. That's right.
Right. Not
oh my God, yes.
fat farms.
Yeah, that's right. Treatment center. Treatment center. But it was, yeah. But at that treatment center, I mean, I won't drop any names, but I mean, I was like with the elite of Hollywood. I mean, like the most famous people are at these fat farms. So it was awesome. But again, I got out, great, but boom, it didn't take long because, no one ever said, why are you eating like this? Why are you putting M&Ms in your mouth like this? So it was that struggle for a very, very long time with the food. And I think when I got a handle on the food and realized that I didn't have to eat to feel better, that's where I think then when it switched to the alcohol, because food doesn't do that for me at all. I don't, it doesn't do it. It's lost its alcohol has a much better feel.
Oh, it's got a different hit.
Yeah, it's a different hit. Cigarettes are my other one. That's the other one. Oh man. I mean, if I talk about cigarettes, I can go back to smoking that cigarette and that feeling. Oh God. It's like when it hits your lungs. I get why people can't quit smoking cigarettes. It's that feeling you get from a cigarette is unlike anything else I've ever felt, so. But
it is designed
to do that
chemically to do that.
Yeah.
So
and
success.
And when I quit cigarettes, I literally went, okay, no more. Like that was it. I never had a cigarette again. I don't even want a cigarette. Never think about it. Like except a moment like this. But I wouldn't want to smoke it. So. But yeah.
No, it's disgusting. So take us into that rock bottom moment for you when you decided, this is it. I can't do this anymore. I can't drink anymore. I'm ruining my life and I need to change.
I can tell you exactly. It was October 2009. My business partner had, in my mind at that time, really betrayed me, taken the business that we started, absolutely, with her inability to communicate and my inability to communicate, because believe me, I had just as much part in it as she did. She basically kind of took the company, and I was like a commissioned salesperson at my own company. And I was, she had moved to like another place and went into business with this other guy. And I mean, it was just so surreal. And I was out in the warehouse with my husband, and I said to him, I can't do this anymore. I can't, this is going to kill me. I'm done. And that was it. And I was so miserable. I was just, I mean, people who, you know what that feels. We all know you're miserable. It was horrible. I was hungover. I just felt like crap. I was everything. It was really, really, really bad.
Incomprehensible demoralization. That's what they call it.
Yeah. Thank God I hadn't lost everything. I was close. But again, like my husband, he didn't really say much to me, like, well, you better not drink anymore. It's just like, okay, you might want to talk about it. Again, problem with why he's not my husband anymore. Like, how about maybe we talk about this? So anyway, but he was always very supportive, I have to say, when I stopped drinking. And so it was good. And man, it was awesome. It was just such a great, I thought this was it. I done. Well, no.
What were those first experiences you had with AA?
I went to a meeting here downtown, and downtown LA wasn't very busy and like it is now. And just, it was like I'd found my place. Although it's changed for me, it's different now, but it was just people who were like me. But all the time though, I still really had a little bit more of a difficult time, because my whole thing was like I never felt like I fit in.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't feel like I fit in there either, because my stories really weren't that good. I mean, like, well, I wasn't in the curb and my face in the gutter, and I didn't like drive my car off a cliff or kill. I mean, because the stories are that people have gone through and come out on the other end are just amazing. But it was a good group. Again, it was a group that it was really awesome. And of course, I loved the guys way more than the women, because they just had those drinking kind of football stories, which are me. I don't. And so, but it was good. I liked it. But again, always had that, like, never really felt like I fit in, and things weren't really that great at home. And it wasn't that I didn't work. I guess maybe part of it was I probably gave it about 90% instead of 125%, which is the one thing I've learned about myself finally, is that, I never made it to the finish line pretty much on a lot of stuff. And that's where I feel like I've made a big shift too, is like I'd always get there and then go back. I'd get there and go, it was always it's always where I was. So so it was good. I was in the program, and for, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years. I don't know. Then I went out, and it was okay. I mean, it wasn't really that bad, but again, I didn't feel good, and my body just doesn't like it. I think a big part of it's because of the sugar and the alcohol. I just, like it can't take, and of course it is poisonous. I guess that's another reason why it doesn't go well. And so, but I kept trying to come back and get and figure it all out. So the great thing is, the couple of years or 3, I was on that journey. Because of the internet, right? And I found so many great teachers. I think you were probably I started listening to podcasts, and you were probably the first person I really met. And then you became my coach, which was awesome, which helped me so much. And that was the beginning. And so it's just taking me down this amazing road that I've been down to get here today. So the thing for me was, Omar, and I'll tell you, this is the only thing that kept me going. I never gave up. Never. I just kept saying to myself, never give up. And of course, I started again listening to Wayne Dyer, and he says, when you're ready, the teacher will show up. And so a couple of times I was like, well, this is the teacher. Like, nah, no. It was just like, was that guy? Nah. So, but I have more than one teacher.
Yes.
Which is the key. And so the great thing is it's just been this amazing, I had to go through this shit to get here.
Yeah.
I had to realize I was in a bad marriage. I had to I just had to look at everything. My business, I didn't like what I was doing. And I was too afraid to go, you know what, but this is my passion. This is what I want to do. And I have to say this Hero Pin is probably the thing that took me out of my career too. It made me like the thing I'm doing with my career. So yeah, it was, listen, as much as I didn't like going through it at the time, and like I'm sure everyone who's listening goes, you wake up and go, I feel like shit, I'll never drink again. And then at 4 o'clock, like, yeah, you just
Wasn't that bad.
not that bad. I got a glass of wine. We're going to dinner. We're having, whatever. So yeah, that's the cycle, or the pendulum, the like the wheel I was on. But you know what? I thank God I wasn't there for too long,
Mm-hmm.
but I was there long enough to go, okay, you know what? It's time. Like I was telling you earlier, massive action. That's my mantra now, and that's what I've been doing. And I'm going to the finish line. That's the other thing. There's no and I've done a lot of great stuff. I've stopped beating myself up. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
nobody beats me up better than I beat myself up. I mean, I'm my own worst enemy with that kind of stuff. It's like, no, you've done a lot of awesome stuff. I mean, first off is I have the most amazing child in the whole world. So that's enough. I mean, that's good.
That's huge all in its own.
Because I can tell you, I consciously made the decision to break the cycle with her, so she would not grow up to be like me. And I did, and she isn't. I mean, we are kind of the same now, which is awesome. We're both, but she would be confident, and I'm like, wow, you're kind of cocky, but she was just confident. She wasn't arrogant. She is this confident, kick-ass woman. And it's just amazing to watch her go through this. And she stands up for people, and empathy she's been working on. She does have a little of her father, we have to say. So she's but she's getting there, and watching it. And it's amazing. She's an entrepreneur, so she's just awesome. So I have to say, like, that's my
Absolutely.
greatest thing I've ever done. And if other stuff I can do with my work to give back and make a difference in the world, because that's what I'm doing now. It's all about having fun, making a lot of money, and making a difference. That's it. There's nothing wrong with making a lot of money. There's nothing wrong with having a lot of fun, and there's nothing wrong. And for me, it's giving back. And so it's pretty exciting. So yeah, it's awesome time.
Well, and there's a lot in there at the end for the listeners to really wrap your head around, because the important thing to remember is that when you get stuck, right? Sometimes we come to the belief that what worked for us in the beginning is always going to work for us. And that's where you get stuck sometimes.
Yes.
Religion does that to you. 12 steps does that to you. They claim to be the solution to everything. And what I learned 10 years, actually more like 11 years into my own sobriety, was that there was something that was lacking. And if I didn't go out and seek higher ground, that I was in trouble, right? Because I'd become complacent, and I was, it was lackluster for me, the 12 steps. And so I started getting into personal development, and I hired a coach, and I joined a mastermind, and then I joined another mastermind, right? And then my network changed, and the people that I hung out with were different, right? For the longest time, it was just people that were in recovery that I hung out with. And now there's this whole gamut of people. And I remember when Lori came to me, at first, it was about the drinking, right? And so what we came to understand was that it's okay to expand your horizons, to investigate everything that the world has to offer. There is so much content, so many resources, so many opportunities to connect with different people who have different mindsets and different perspectives. And eventually what you do is you're like you just said, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And then you would be like, I wonder if this is the teacher. Nah. I wonder if this is the one. Nah. Oh, this one is.
Yeah.
And what I
Well,
learned that's what I learned in personal development is that you can actually do that. You can actually go and taste test
yeah,
different
exactly.
pathways of growth and development and learning,
Unintended.
right? Until you find the one that's right for you.
Or multiple. So,
Yes, yeah, you
so
can. It's a buffet.
because what you said to me, in fact, I'm going to say why I think why when I found you, it's like if you have trouble with the 12 steps, if you don't think that's your, if you don't like that's not your whatever, there's alternatives. And I'm like, oh, because you're right. I kept trying to go back to A, like that's and it wasn't working. And I'll be quite honest, there were a lot of people in there. It's like if you want what we have, I would go to meetings, go, I don't want what any of you have. I mean, I can't tell you how many meetings. Like someone's like, well, I'm living in my car, and it like after 20, but I got 24 years. Okay. But my whole, it's not about, and it was about finding that right balance and what's going to work. And so, yeah, that's what I've got. There's another recovery group that I found and they're awesome. So I'm working that because I was always I felt so ashamed in LA and in AA, in LA and AA. I felt, I always felt the shame. And like if you slipped or you went out, it's like, oh, now you're a newcomer, you're a loser. Like, oh God. Yeah. So 10 years of sobriety, I just throw it out the door and really, yeah, basically. Okay. So I just, listen, it is an awesome program for a lot of people, but
It
there's,
absolutely works. Yes, it
it works
absolutely
for,
works. It's
yeah,
worked for millions.
millions, but it hasn't worked for a lot of people. And I think
Yeah.
what I want to say is to people here, there's so many other options. Like you
Yes.
said, it's a buffet. So like for me, I do have a business coach. I have a spiritual emotional coach, which is Omar. I have another kind of coach for something like because you're like, everybody can't do everything. And so that's the thing with the program. Like, it's so funny. I did go to a guy from AA sent me a thing. He goes, hey, we're doing all these meetings. So I did go to their meeting the other day. I'm like, it was okay. But the ones I've been doing, this recovery I've been working with this group, like I think I found it. But you know what? I'm gonna still look at other stuff too, because like I'm doing entrepreneurs in recovery. I mean, like I have all these like different things that people are doing. So they're not getting stuck. And if you don't do it like an AA, like you guys have been to enough meetings. If you don't do it the AA way by the central office, and forget it. Like, no, that is not what Bill W. would say if he was here today. I mean,
He would.
I think, would go, hey, there's other ways to do this. That's what saved his ass in 70, 80 years ago, whatever. Okay, things are different, like everything. So that's the thing is don't give up. I mean, keep looking, because there's so much out there. All over the world, you can connect with people all over the world now. And it's
Yes.
awesome. I
And
mean, you
so
can in Costa Rica, for God's sake. I mean,
yeah, it's global.
yeah,
You can be, even like most of the people that follow me are in the United States. But what's funny is I'll open up a Zoom call and I got people from California, from New York, from
yeah,
Florida, from North Carolina. And
yeah.
you're like, wow, this is like, how cool is this? How amazing is this to be able to participate on, in your own recovery in such a fashion? But here's the big takeaway too. So I want you guys to really pay attention to what has evolved. So this hero pin that Lori, started when the pandemic, this is after coaching with me and exploring different personal development avenues and getting a business coach and going to workshops and like, boom, just going headfirst into personal development and growth. And then that mindset, the emotional state, everything started to shift. And it's usually when those things happen where we clear so many of those limiting beliefs and we heal so much of that childhood wounding that we can now see these amazing opportunities like the Matrix. Like all of a sudden you're able to see things that you weren't able to see before. So please tell us now, let's get granular on the hero pin, right?
Yes.
Like, when was that moment where, like the pandemic hits and it's like, I don't know what's happening. And this is kind of like out of control. And then you think, I have this idea. Tell us.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I did steal it from, so my stepdaughter, she is in this industry, and she works for a company. They manufacture pens, like all the souvenir stuff, like the cool stuff you see when you go to the House of Blues. That's they do all that stuff, and then they do they do all kinds of great stuff. And they were working on doing a pin to thank nurses. And I thought, yeah, okay. I mean, that's really awesome. And I come from a world of, and I have a couple of people I work with, but especially my design partner, Dan. He's ridiculous. He's like old school design. And you don't see that anymore, because now if you have a computer, you can call yourself a designer. And sadly, you're not. And I'm like ridiculous about the world. When I look at signs and the letters aren't right, and stuff makes me crazy. So Dan and I started talking, and that's how this, and so I said, you know what, let's just do something. It would be fun. I want to do a pin for all heroes, the heroes that nobody's talking about. It's kind of the front line, the ignored heroes, but now they're not. But like we were talking about, the UPS guy, the mailman, all the mail carrier, sorry, the grocery store clerk, the guy at the gas station. He cleans the pump after every single person fills their car at Costco. I'm like, what? So that was really it. And I just thought, you know what? I'm willing to, and listen, my business was, I had just lost my biggest client. I just lost my biggest client, because I said, I want to get out of what I've been doing. So they said, okay, go. So, I just came back from New York, and I did this great thing. But it was awesome, because when we went to talk, I said, you know what, Ron, this is great, because I need to go anyway. And sometimes I'm too afraid to go. So you're kicking me out, which is awesome. I said, thank you. He's like, what's wrong with you? I go, it's fine. I'm crying in there. It's like, it's good. And so with no sales, a pandemic, no, like, oh shit. Well, okay. I'm willing to do 1,000. I'm willing to give 1,000 just to do them for myself and give them away. And then collaborating with Dan, we came up with the card and the little thing that tells them they're a hero, and how to put their picture on Instagram. So, it just all, and then I did have someone help me, his niece is in that business, help me with the social media part, which now that I'm not working with them anymore, I will become an expert at, because literally I'm filling the orders in my living room. This is my warehouse. It's all
like everybody else.
Yeah, like everybody. Yeah, so it's just me. When you call and you get customer service, like, hey. So, but it's great. So that's why the whole thing is, people keep saying, great job. And I go, okay, but buy some pins. It's just like, no, we need to, and the money is going to the World Central Kitchen. So I'd love for you to go to the WCK.org, and you can probably put their link in there. I mean, what that chef Andreas is doing is just remarkable. He was the one in Puerto Rico and down in the Bahamas. He was the first guy there to feed all those people. So that's my thing. I want to write him a big check. So that's my goal now. Before it was just 1,000 pins. Now it's like, okay, I want to, like, that's not good enough. I want to write him a big check. So that's where we're at. So things have been, it's starting to really go. It was very slow. And this was one of my big shifts. Like, oh, see, I'm such a loser. My pin's like, okay, shut up. Like, stop it. It's the process. Just quit, let it happen. And that's what
Let it happen. Let it happen.
I was just, I kept like, I want to make it work, like, no. And that's where I've had the big shift is that, and that 8-year-old girl is gone. She's done. She's, she was with me for, 50 years and 45, 50 years. So she's gone. So that's awesome, because that's the whole thing. That was my story. How, what's his name? The Unfuck Yourself guy. It's your story. How your story is like, yeah, my mom left, and like, no, it's your story. It's your victim story. We can't let that be our story, right? My story is, I'm the founder of the Hero Pin.
Yes.
I'm the goddess of stuff, right? Like, boom, all that stuff that happened back. Okay, it's why I'm here today. Okay, am I going to keep going on about it? No. No, it's like, because first off, I don't want to talk about it anymore. And I don't think anybody else wants to hear about it. So I mean, I like it when people ask me my story, and that's great, but it was my story and I was the victim. My daughter even said to me, Mom, God, you're such a victim. And I'm like, shut up. Slap her. Quit being a victim. I'm like, I'm not a victim. Like, oh yeah, you are. So yeah, it's
As
good.
humans, we're just inclined to identify with some sort of an identity because we need it. Okay.
Yeah.
We need approval. We need to feel significant. We need to feel acknowledged. And whether it's acknowledgement for being a victim or it's acknowledged for being a hero, right? We desperately seek acknowledgement. We seek to feel significant and important.
Yeah.
And as the imposter syndrome is such an epidemic, just globally,
Yes.
most people have a hard time with the idea of owning being a hero, being someone
Yeah.
that's of service or helping others or important. So it's much easier to just slip into self-pity and self-loathing and this victim, woe is me, that I was, whatever the case may be, I was
Well,
molested, I was adopted, I was
whatever. Oh
abandoned
yeah,
at a
on
grocery
adoption
store.
too. How's that? Got another one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, you didn't mention that. I was like, well, I'm not going to push her to it if she doesn't want to mention
Rejected
it.
at birth. Hello. No, I'm sorry. No, but yeah. In fact, it's funny. It's not my story, right? I mean, I met with the parents I was supposed to be with, so it's totally fine. However, I got there is how I look at it. But it's funny that what you're talking about. I just want to remember, like a long time ago, when I was first probably in recovery, because I did go to Overeaters Anonymous first. Like when people would say, like, you're not even taking a compliment. Great shirt, Omar. Oh, I've had it for 20. I don't know. It's instead of just thank you.
Yep.
We always have to discount. I mean, that can always tell where someone's at by how they take a compliment.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this old bag or this old thing. Oh no. Oh yeah. No, I don't like. Whatever. Instead of just like, oh, thank you so much, and move on. Like that's my like sort of bar where you can kind of tell.
Absolutely.
Oh,
That's where somebody's where they're at as far as self-worth. Because I know that Lori's adopted and I was expecting her to bring that up, but that's not part of her story anymore.
yeah. Yeah.
She didn't even think
I didn't even
to
think about
share.
it.
Yeah. Right. So as we start to shed those skins, because it's really,
Yes.
it's a skin, it's a mask, as we start to shed these, and it's like that, that doesn't serve me.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
doesn't serve me. That's not helping me, and it's not helping anyone.
Yep.
So I have to transcend. I have to evolve. I don't have a choice. Tell us a little. Speaking of which, I've been watching on the social media here. You've been invited to be on TV. You've been interviewed, right? Tell us a little bit about how that's kind of come to be.
It's networking. So and people. So I did have this agency that was helping me out. So they pitched a few stories, and then one got the other kind of thing. But then like Dan, who I work, this is how the big one just happened. Dan, he goes, oh yeah, my friend's wife is a producer at Good Day LA here. I'm like, okay. So basically the last story that was done was in a local LA sort of online thing, because there's a lot of it's just been online and most of it's just been here. Sent it to her and instantly, oh my God, this is boom. So like because now people want good stories. So the protest, because and you said, how's downtown? Like the protesting in Southern California was ridiculous. I mean, it was just horrific what happened, what the looters did, not the protesters. The protesters were calm and fine. The criminals were the problem, and just to destroy these businesses. And I've been through the 92 riots and all of it. So and they just want some stories where people are doing good things. And so I'm really excited. So it's going to be a little thing next week on Good Day LA, but it's just, what I think, this person sees it and that person sees it. I think it's just a grassroots thing now. And hopefully more people will, like your podcast, who knows who's watching your podcast, who's just going to call you and say, hey, Omar, I got to talk to that person because whatever. Or I want pins from my whole company, all my people are heroes or whatever. So that's, just putting myself out there, which for me was really hard, because as much as I might pretend that I've got it, like this is easy, it's not. So, but
easy.
it's like, you have to just do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and what's the worst thing that's going to happen to me? Oh, I'll sell a lot of pins. Okay, winner. So there you go. I mean, like, nothing bad's going to happen out of this. I'm just going to hopefully get more exposure. And I feel really good talking about my story, because if I can give anybody a little tiny bit of hope, because I'm 60 years old. So I think a lot of people give up. And someone I heard talk the other day about, you're going to see the older worker come out of this as a ridiculously amazing entrepreneur, because they're going to get forced to do stuff they never would have done at 40. So now maybe at 50 or 60, they're going to do it, and that you're not done. And we're like, what is retirement? Like, I don't even, that word isn't even in my brain. Like, how can
it's the way the world is evolving at this rate, there's no need to retire.
you?
Yeah, and not only that, and this is the main reason for having you on the show, which is this idea of giving people hope in such a time of hopelessness for so many.
Agree. Yeah, thank you. I think so too.
People want to, we do as a human, we gravitate towards that incomprehensible demoralization, right? That feels much more real than to have hope and faith and be positive.
Because you've been there.
Right.
You know it. I know what that feels like.
It's comfortable. It's safe.
Yeah.
I won't be let down, because when you're already on the floor, you can't get any lower. Yeah. But if I allow myself to have just a little bit of hope, pick myself up just far enough, I could fall. But the truth is that when you get out there and you hand somebody a hero pin, okay, you put that on there and you allow yourself to experience what it feels like to recognize somebody on that level, it's going to change.
It'll change
everything.
Your life.
Yeah, it's going to change your life.
I don't want to make a big statement here, but I tell you, it will change your life. Giving a pin, it's the greatest, one of the greatest things I've ever done. I mean, I could give somebody $100 bill, literally, which would be really nice. But that pin, I'm telling you, it's just the, oh God, it makes me cry. Just the, like I was at the hospital the other day, and this nurse, she goes, oh my God, she's like bawling, because, I'm a single mom, and they can't talk to people, and they're all masked up. And, she just couldn't, because I'm here, I put my life at risk every single day, and no one tells me thank you. Great. Yes, I get a paycheck. Thank you. But just to say thank you for like putting your life on the line. And so, yeah, it's really that thing that I had no idea, honestly. I had no idea that this was what was going to happen to me. Selfishly, it's been one of the greatest things I've ever done in my life.
I understand.
And it's not over. And
it's just beginning. Lori, it's just beginning for you. Yeah. It's just beginning.
It's just beginning, 100%.
All right. So if our listeners, they want to reach out to you, they want to find you, what's the best way for them to contact you, reach out to you, follow you?
Oh, that's good. Well, on Instagram, we are the Hero Pin.
Okay.
And Facebook, the Hero Pin. Mm-hmm. I think, this is how bad I am, I think my Instagram is Lori Liva, Liva, not sure, but I think that's it. Should I give my email, or what do you think? Just go to the Instagram. I'm on Facebook, Lori Livacich.
Instagram and Facebook. Yeah. No website yet?
Yeah, the Hero. Oh, sorry. It's Hero dash. Sorry, hello. Not promote. Hero-pin.com. You have to put the dash. So, but it's the Hero Pin on Instagram and Facebook. But it's hero-pin.com on. That's the website, and it's an easy website. Click, buy, done, and you'll know that I send your order out. So when you order, it's coming out of my house. And yeah, I hope you guys do order some pins, because it's really it's pretty awesome.
Okay. So 2 more questions, and I'm going to have all that information listed on Lori's show notes on the SHAIR podcast website. So what is the best suggestion you have ever received, Lori? Or advice?
Boy, that's I don't know. I think the best suggestion probably to never give up, because in fact, I was going to earlier, I was going to mention this. When I was like in that, when things were so bad, all I kept, and maybe someone probably did tell me this, it's like, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Again, another cliche, but the only one I could see, Omar, was in a pinhole. But as long as I could see that, it was like, that was it. And that was my hardest thing, was I just like never give up, because I wanted to. I've thought about it before. I mean, I thought, I really have, like, what would it's just easier if I'm not here, kind of thing. So
I know that feeling.
never ever give up, as hard as that was to keep going. And so that's it. And I think changing my thoughts, that's the other, so I have two. That's
Well, you
Emmett
can
Fox.
save that one for the next one.
Okay.
Okay, so the next question is, what is one parting piece of wisdom that you would like to leave with our listeners?
That's probably the one, is change your thoughts, change your mind, or it's Emmett Fox's, he's from the 40s. He was a science of mind teacher. His stuff is amazing. And he has a thing called the miracle, the golden key. Golden key. It's a 3-page pamphlet. Game changer. That was probably my thing. But it's your thoughts. That's the key. Changing your thoughts will change your life. And it's a practice like meditation. But if you can do that, and really, go look him up, it'll be a game changer. That's what saved my life. That when I was at the bottom, Emmett Fox and that golden key changed my life.
A lot of what I do, so much of what I do as a coach, is the reframe. And it gives each one of my clients an opportunity to change their story.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It gives you an opportunity you can ask provocative enough questions, open questions, that will tap into the subconscious and will open you up in a way to a brand new perspective, that all you have to say is, in many cases, so what if what you thought happened and what you thought it meant, what if it actually meant this? What if I'll create a scenario where I go, what if it was actually this that happened? And you create enough reasonable doubt, right? to any like hardcore limiting belief that somebody's like, no, that's what happened, and like that's their fault, and this happened to me, and
I'm right.
right. And I go, just humor me. What if? And sometimes, because you're not saying, you're creating enough mystery in there. A what if could be anything. What if leprechauns exist? What if it was a unicorn that shit in your cereal? You know what I mean? Like a lot. And laughter is also the best medicine,
for sure,
in these situations, right? But change your thoughts and change your life is everything, because we live with this inner critic that's always saying, no, you can't do that. And remember when you fucked that up, and remember, and you'll never be in a relationship, and no one's ever going to love you. And it's this inner critic that lives inside of us. And at some point, if you can just sit down with him and go, all right, man, I am listening. Let's hammer this out. At some point, you will be able to connect with that inner critic and change your story.
Yeah. And those thoughts won't come. They won't come back anymore, and you won't be so narcissistic and selfish. I mean, that is the one thing I have to tell you, that I have to just say this, because it did change my life. My husband said to me, nobody gives as much of a shit about you as you think they do. Because I thought everybody was out to get me. And when he said that, I'm like, oh, he's right. Like, they don't. Like, I'm so selfish and oh my God. And anyway, that was that moment when that was my bottom moment at that warehouse. And he said that, I'm like, you fucker, yeah, he was
right. It can happen in an instant.
Like that. I mean, instantly. Boom. Yeah, I forgot to say that, but you're right. And my thoughts, like that moment, and like you're talking about, I've been changing my thoughts, and I don't have those thoughts like I used to. And it just you become like your what if, you become that person. what if I'm not, what if I am lovable? Or what if yeah, you are. Okay. You know, it doesn't mean we don't slip back a little sometimes, but we get to center much faster.
And
Right.
also, depending on your circle of influence and the people that you spend time with, the people you surround yourself with, that makes a huge difference too. Because if you slip back, they'll catch you.
Yep, your tribe. Yeah, you got it. You got to, what is
They'll
it?
catch you.
Be with the people like you want to be those people.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
100%. Yep. Yep. So great. Yep. So true.
Lori, thank you so much for joining
Omar,
us.
I love you so much. Thank
Ah.
you. This was so awesome. Oh my God, you're the best.
Oh, you're the
Thank
best. I love you so much too. And
I know.
you are doing an amazing job. Just
The Love Fest. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I will definitely talk to you soon. I really appreciate this time. I'm so grateful for you giving me this time. And buy your Hero pins.
yeah. All right, folks. We've now reached the end of our show. Thanks for joining us. And as we say here in Costa Rica, pura vida.
Pura vida.
And that's a wrap. Thank you for joining us on another episode of the SHAIR Podcast. And be sure to click subscribe to the SHAIR Podcast YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, on all the major social media platforms. Go to our website, the SHAIR Podcast. Go to my website, omarpinto.com. Find out about joining the SRC, the SHAIR Recovery Community, or one-on-one coaching with me by setting up a free consultation. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next week on the following SHAIR Podcast episode.